Okay, 1.2, compounding interest. What is compounding interest? Interest on your principal plus every year they don't pay it out, or monthly, or daily, or whatever. Okay, if it's simple interest, it doesn't matter. It's the same amount. Here, we keep that money and we add it to the principal, and then you get interest, not only on your principal, but interest on your interest. And the difference after long periods of time is really quite shocking. That's why Albert Einstein once said, compounding is one of the wonders of the world. It's just math. Okay, so let's compare. We're going to do it the long way today before we actually get a formula. Okay, so if I have $5,000 and I invest that and someone's kind enough to give me 6% on it, which is pretty hard these days, if it's simple interest, okay, for 5 years, we know how to do that. A is P1 plus R times T. And we get $6,500 is how much we get after 5 years. Does it matter if it's paid yearly or weekly or monthly or every 27 seconds? No, we get the same amount. Okay, it's simple interest. It doesn't matter when that interest is paid to you. Maybe they keep it all and just pay it at the end of the 5 years. Okay? Now, let's compare that to versus what if I didn't take that interest out every year? I actually kept it in there and compounded it. Now it matters if it's compounded monthly, annually, semi-annually, bi-weekly, okay, weekly, daily. You want it, if this is your money, you want it compounding as frequently as possible. You actually get a lot more money. This is typical in the real world, okay? They compound it annually. When we get to loans, for whatever reason, it started as, for a mortgage, it's always compounded semi-annually. That's how they post their rates. I don't know why, how it started that way, but compare apples to apples, because you know these people are smarter than the average person who gets a mortgage. They're going to trick you, right? So in order for them not to, every time you post a mortgage rate, they have to be the same. They're all compounded semi-annually. That's law. Okay, so this is compounded annually, again for 5 years. So what does that mean? At the end of 1 year, right, I get 5,000 plus, well, let's be consistent here with my formula. Okay, so year 1, 5,000, 1 plus, what's the rate? For 1 year, it's just in for 1 year, okay? So, well, how much interest is that? What's 6% of 5,000? 6 times 5 is 30, right? Add a 0, that's $300. And if you don't believe me, put that in your calculator. I'm going to add that to 5,000. Okay, so I get $5,300 at the end of 1 year. Here's where the difference is. Now, that's how much I invest in the second year. I'm adding in this interest. So I'm going to get 6% not only on the 5,000 for the second year, I'm also going to get 6% on the 300. Okay? Interest on the interest. So manually, we're going to do that again. Now, I start with 5,300. And I get 6% on that for 1 year. And I end up with 5,955 and 8 cents. Okay. So do you already see how much more I got? after 2 years for compounding that. If I didn't compound it, I would have 5,300 and another 300, 6% of that, I would have 5,600. How much is this? It's $355.08 more just by compounding that. Okay? Year 3. Now I'm going to take all of this. I don't want that interest. I want to make more money. I'm going to put that in at 6% for another year. I got 63.12.38. I missed a year, guys. That's a lot. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Okay, sorry. Missed a year. This is $56.18. Okay, only $18 more. Can't read my own writing. This is year 4. Year 3 is 5,955 and 08. My apologies. Okay, that looks more realistic. Year 4, I'm going to take all this money, so that's not right. That's 5,618, 5,95508 at 6% for another year. Okay, at the end of 4 years, I have 63.12 and 38 cents. Okay. Does anyone see how much more I have here by compounding? Okay, well, simple, I get 300 a year. If it was simple, I'd get 300, 300, 600, 300, 900, another 300, 1,200. So I would have 1,200 and 5,000, 6,200. I got 63.12. I got another 112 bucks just by keeping that interest in there and compounding it. So the last year, and don't worry, I'm not going to give you one with 10 years on it, okay? 63.12 and 38 cents. Compound that at 6% one more time for another year. 66.91.12. That's just 5 years. You see the difference? What does compounding give you? How much more? This is simple. This, I kept the interest in, got interest on the interest. That's compounding. Which one would you rather have? Yeah. Okay, how much more is that? 669112 minus 6500 is $491.12 more. Okay? That's not just, you know, chicken scratch, right? That's, you could go to Subway quite a few times for that amount of money. Okay? And why again? Because I compounded it. That's what compounding does. Now imagine if you had that in there for 50 years. You probably want to spend it before 50 years comes out, right? Yeah.
It's not $400.
It's like minus 490.
Yeah, how did I get that? That's a lot. Oh, good. Okay, yeah, yeah, it's 109. I'm sorry. It's still a lot of Subway, but yeah, not as much as we'd like. That time it wasn't me. I have an error in my book, my notes. And by the way, this is the first time I've been through this course, so I might do that a couple times. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, what's the rate of return? Okay, simple. Again, this is the amount we get in interest. So in simple, okay, for simple first, let's compare these. Rate of return, what's the percent simple versus the percent compounded? So I put in 5 grand, I got 6,500. Of course, that's $1,500 in interest. Divide it by the amount that my principal was. Okay, what's the interest divided by the principal? That's 0.3, or we usually like that in percents, 30%. Okay, what's the rate of return compounding? Should be more, right? Right? 6,691.12. Yeah, that's only 109.12. What was I thinking? Minus 5,000 over the amount I put in is 0.338, or round it to the nearest percent. Okay, my rate of return, 4% more. Okay, you're going to do that. Like, there's not really any more risk here. It's at the same bank. They said, hey, would you like simple interest or would you like compounding? They're not going to do that, right? Because people will find out the truth and get mad and come in and complain. They don't like that. But yeah, 4% difference, substantial. Quickly, we're not going to totally graph this, but you remember what simple looked like? What kind of shape was this graph? It made a line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is time, that's years. It went like this, okay? You know what, let's make the line first, then put the dots in so we know it's going to make a nice line. And guess what this one does? It's not straight anymore. Okay, so I start off with the same amount. Okay, I start off with 5,000, and here it's only a little bit higher, but the farther I go in time, the more the difference, which means this line, if I do it properly, it's got a curve. Okay, and the longer you have it in, the more it curves, the bigger the difference. Okay, because the larger you have in there to compound, the more interest you have, obviously the more money you're going to get, right? Okay, this is exponential growth. Okay, so this one, of course, is compounding. Now the point you got to know is that's not a straight line, right? Not linear. Okay, this one, from last day we did a more careful graph. That's simple interest. Okay? Linear. Doesn't matter when it's paid, always the same amount. Here, I mean, you don't, if they paid it out every year, then you wouldn't have anything extra to compound, would you? It'd be the same amount. Okay, but you keep it in there, it compounds. Now, first of all, that's not right. Before I hit this, so $1,000, not very much money, right? Can't even buy car insurance for a year for that. Well, I can't even do that. So you guys, it'll be twice the price. So you don't get a discount, right? For 10 years of safe driving. I invest that at 8%. That's, you know, that's a good rate, okay? For 100 years. It's a long time. We saw how much difference 5 years makes. What do you think? I just want to, how much is that going to be? Enough to retire? Ali, what do you think? How much is $1,000 in the bank for 100 years at 8% going to get you? There's no right or wrong. So,
$8,000.
8,000? You're only going to make 8 times your money? Okay. Ashton, you think more? You have no idea? Well, it's not, there's no wrong to guess. Let's go a little bigger than Ali's. What do you think? $80,000? You think that much? Kristen? Bigger or less than 80,000? You could almost buy like a fully loaded Range Rover for that.
For simple interest or?
No, compounding.
Oh, okay. Fine.
Okay, 80 grand, so you want to correct your 8,000, do you? All right. Shalane, more than 80 grand? Robbie? A little more than 80? How much? Everyone's so afraid. Oh, I don't want to look stupid. God. 90? Milners. How much? $800,000 sold. You think so? 800 grand. Woo. Let's have a look. How about 2.2 million? What? That can't be right. Does this look linear? Yeah, that's it. After 50 years, you almost have, well, 55 years, you got 80 grand. And then, woohoo, $1 million after 90 years. That means $1 million at 8% for 10 years will double its money from $1 million to $2 million, 2.2 million. Yeah, that's enough to retire. One of the wonders of the world, compounding. Problem is, you wouldn't be alive to spend that money, would you? Right? But your grandkids would. Hey, 8%. You can't get that in a bank. You can only get 8% these days by investing in something a little riskier, like the stock market. But it's still, you know, over time, the long periods of time, they say it's about 7% consistently. If you buy a nice diversified portfolio in equities, that's stocks like Coke, Walmart, nice big blue chips, yeah, you could do this.
What is the usual
In a bank, these days, you're lucky if you get like 2%. Inflation is 1.5%, so your money's only really growing at 0.5% per year, which is negligible. But if you stick it in the mattress, you're losing 1.5% per year, right? Because your $100 today, next year, if inflation say 2%, that $100 is only worth 98, right? In 100 years, your $100 is only going to buy $20 or $30 worth of goods because of inflation. So you want to make sure you keep up with inflation. This is another one. You guys hear the story of the Red Indians? Well, you're gonna. So, the investing Indian. This is true. This is a true story. In 1626, the Red Indians in the east coast of the United States sold Manhattan. You've heard of this place? It's a little island, kind of like Vancouver Island, okay, in New York. You know how much real estate is in New York? A lot. One apartment is like $2,500 a month. It's about half the size of this room. If you want a parking spot to park your car, that'll cost you $1,000 a month. Yeah. Okay, that's the value of real estate in Manhattan. These Indians sold it, the whole island of Manhattan, for $24 to the white man. Europeans came over. I said, hey, I kind of like the scenery. You want to sell me that island? I said, all right. Gave you beads and trinkets. It wasn't even cash, because I mean, what do they do with cash? Gold. There's no stores, right? They didn't care. But they're saying the value of what they traded for the island was $24. Okay? You know what it's worth today? $2 trillion. Manhattan, if you could buy it all and sell it for what it's worth, because it's all high rises, right? The value of the real estate is $2 trillion. So they kind of got suckered, didn't they? You think so? That was a long time ago, though, right? I mean, $24 was quite a bit of money back then, right? Maybe you could buy a house. Okay, so it looks like they got had. You think they were pissed off? At least their great-great-great-grandsons and daughters? Great-great-great-great-great? I don't know. Well, with compounding, if they put that $24 in a bank at 8% compounded for 385 years, they would have $8 trillion. or 4 times the value of Manhattan. That's true. And you can check that with a formula we're going to get on Monday. Okay? Now, did they put the 24 bucks in the bank? No, they didn't even have 24 bucks. But the point is, isn't that amazing? $24 will grow to 8 trillion at 8% compounded. Don't you wish your great-great-great-great-grandpa would have done that for you? Put 24 bucks? I don't even know if they had banks in 1626, okay? But like I said, and even mortgages, they didn't have them. If you wanted to buy some real estate, you had to have cash. It's probably gold, not cash. Yeah, cool. There's Manhattan. That's compounding interest. Page 19, 1 to 3.